Hey, how you all going? It's Jai, that Aussie metal guy, and today it's with great pleasure that I'm having a chat with Asking Alexandria founder, guitarist Ben Bruce. Ben, a massive shout out and cheers for making some time to have a chat with myself and Crannk, mate. I really do appreciate it. Thank you.
Of course, mate. Thank you for having me.
So the latest album, Like a House on Fire, is absolutely unreal, dude. I'm not sure how much time we have, but can I ask how what music was cranking through your home, dude? Because this always interests me, growing up as a kid, what you were listening to and what was in your home.
That's so hard for me because my parents got divorced when I was quite young, but both my stepdad and my dad both loved music. So my stepdad was introducing me to bands like Deep Purple and the Scorpions and such, and even like Sex Pistols and sort of harder music. And then my dad was introducing me to like the Beatles and Eric Clapton and B.B. King. So I had just two different ends of the rock spectrum being, introduced to me. And then on top of that, my mom's uncle was a extremely famous, well-known brass band conductor. He actually was honored with an OBE from the Queen.
Yeah.
So music's just kind of always been in my family and in my house growing up, and my houses now. My kids are very much around music all the time. And, I've just grown up listening to literally everything from blues to heavy metal to pop and country music. So I'm a bit of a music mutt.
That's really cool, man. I think that's really important for people to kind of jump in and listen to a whole broad range of music. How did that evolve into you wanting to play guitar? Because you're an extremely exceptional guitar and you've built quite a reputation in these years.
Thank you, man. It's weird. My mom said that I didn't actually pick up a guitar until I was about 12, but my mom always told me that I must have been super young because I left England. I moved to Dubai when I was 5 years old. So it was before I'd moved to Dubai. I guess I used to go and hang out at my grandparents' house a lot. And my mum would say, whenever I went to my grandparents, they would put Grease on the television for me. And I would just go and find one of my granddad's old tennis rackets and just stand in front of the television pretending to play guitar on this tennis racket. So my mum was like, he's going to be a guitarist. He's going to be a musician. But my grandma always played piano, so I actually picked up the piano properly as the first instrument I ever learned. And it wasn't until I was like 12 years old where I picked up a guitar. And right before that, I'd got really into sports, and so music kind of took a back burner for me for a little bit of my childhood. And when I came back to music, everyone wanted to learn guitar, every single person. I remember all my friends were like, I want to learn guitar. And their parents were like, fine, but you have to start with the acoustic and you have to get guitar lessons. Yep. My dad was like, nah, mate, fuck that. Here you go. Here's an electric guitar and here's an amplifier I've bought you. And if you push this little button right here, it turns the distortion on. So I was sold. Like from that second, all my friends were clonking around trying to learn acoustic guitar. And I just had my little distortion button on my guitar, and I would just sit at home and listen to Metallica or Gary Moore or Eric Clapton or, System of a Down and Slipknot, and just sit in my bedroom for hours and hours, and I would just learn songs by ear. And I used to take my mum's old, her cassette tapes of music, and I figured out that if I put tape over the little holes on the top, I could actually put the tape into my tape player and record over it. So I used to record myself playing these songs over my mum's cassette tapes, so I could just sit back and analyze them and see what I was playing right and wrong. And I kind of just learnt by ear from the age of 12.
That's really cool, man, because I kind of done something similar, but I'd always grab my mum's old Sting tapes or Police or whatever, and I'd chuck on like heavy metal. I'd listen to the local heavy metal show. We're both showing our age here, but I'd listen to the local heavy metal show on the radio, and I'd record all my favourite songs, like 15, 16. I'm like, this is cool. My mum hated it, of course.
My parents were always really, really, really supportive of me growing up. And I used to, my whole family was, I even remember being super young and take my grandma, because I grew up in Dubai, like I mentioned. So we didn't get all the new releases in Dubai. So my grandma used to go out into town when like the new Slipknot album came out or the new Avenged Sevenfold album came out. My grandma used to go and queue for these records for me amongst all these like teenagers and emo kids with piercings and dark hair. And there's my little old grandma just stood in the same line buying me Slipknot records and stuff. So I was pretty lucky with my family growing up. They've always been super supportive and sort of understanding. I remember I'd show my grandma music, and there's no way I would show her like System of a Down, and there's no way she got it. You know what I mean? But she always pretended like she got it. She was like, "Oh yeah, I hear what they're doing here. I love this. This is awesome. I really like this bit." So they always showed such an interest in my interests.
Yeah, that is so cool. That is such an amazing story. Like, I think maybe Grandma seen your passion and love for music and really wanted to feed that. And I love the way Dad said, "Here's the amp, press this little button, go for it." And it's probably helped build you up a lot more as a musician doing that than if you were to go, okay, and there's a music class sitting there and do this.
I think so. I know I went to school with someone, his name was Zayn, actually, Zayn Malik, and he ended up getting accepted into Berkeley, which is a really prestigious music school. And he was phenomenal. He was flawless. And his parents put him, I think it's called the Suzuki method. When he was really young, like 3 years old, they did the Suzuki method with him. And so essentially he just understood music. He could pick up a violin, a guitar, a saxophone, whatever it was. Even if he'd never played it before, he would run through the notes one time and just understand how the instrument worked. And he was phenomenal. Like, you just couldn't compete with this guy when it came to playing and technique, and just like, it was insane. But I remember he always wanted to jam with me, and I hated it. I was like, no, this guy's too good. It makes me feel stupid. But I asked him, I was like, why do you always want to jam with me, dude? Like, I'm the least quote unquote qualified person in this whole music course, you know? And he was like, he told me, and I remember it vividly, he was like, I envy you. And I was like, what the hell are you talking about? He was like, I'm so knowledgeable and so versed in music theory, I can't write a song because the creativity's almost been sucked out of me. I know I'm not supposed to do something, so my mind won't allow me to go there on an instrument. He's like, I see you writing music all day long, and I look at stuff and I go, man, that shouldn't work, but it does. But because my brain thinks it shouldn't, I'm never able to create songs. And I was like, wow, that's a really crazy way of looking at it. And, you know, it makes me kind of glad that I didn't sit down and learn the ins and outs of my guitar. I just learned about my guitar through the sounds it makes.
Yeah, the feeling of the music, I suppose. Do you remember what your first guitar was?
I do, actually. It was a Yamaha EG112. I don't even know if they make those anymore. And it came with that amp we've been discussing. It was like a little tiny blue amp. And I remember it had like volume, treble, mid, and bass knobs on it. And that one awesome tiny red button that was the distortion button. And I just would leave that on. And to me at the time, it was impossible to make it sound bad. I could just hit the thing and it would be like, bah! Like, yes, this sounds so good.
That is really cool, man. And sitting back there in Dubai, it would have been a blowout the last how many years you guys have been going, since 2008. One thing I've really liked about Asking Alexandria is your career. You're one of those bands that I talked about this in my system. Music is like life. We all grow and evolve. And one thing I love about Asking Alexandria is your career and the way you've played out your albums. It's absolutely unreal, dude. Something you should be really proud of.
Thank you so much, man. I appreciate that. I do actually, I take pride in the fact that we never go into a studio and we're like, oh, okay, well, what do we have to write for people to buy this? Or who should we appeal to with this album? We've never done that. And, you know, I can safely say we never will. We go in there and we write music that we love, music that we enjoy, and something like, if we've not got the biggest smile on our face of all time after we've written a song, then that song doesn't get released.
Yep. That latest album, Like a House on Fire, I've dived into it last night and the day before. And this morning I was really cranking the hell out of it. I really enjoy this album. It is an amazing album. I'm one of those people that play from start to finish with an album. I loved how it played out. Can you tell me a little bit how you, because I was reading that you made this album in between playing shows and you're kind of testing it out as well. Can you tell us a little bit about that process?
Yeah, I mean, so normally when it comes time to writing an album, you're like, okay, guys, it's time to go in the studio. and you find out when there's a producer free, and you go, okay, he's free from these days. You go, okay, cool. We've got 6 weeks. Go in the studio, record your album. And you know, I think thankfully we've put the time and the effort in and built a career at this point. I like to think of us as a career band where we kind of just dictate more what our schedule is, and we're like, okay, well, we don't want to do that. And so we would go into the studio in dribs and drabs, and I would write these songs. I'd write 3 or 4 songs, and then we'd go out and tour with like Shinedown and Papa Roach and whoever else, and be playing in front of 10, 15,000 people a night. And when we're playing festivals, you know, more, you know, 40 to 60, 80,000 people. And we used that opportunity to sort of look out into the crowd, because rock and roll lives and breathes at its absolute finest at a rock and roll show. And anything outside of that really is kind of irrelevant. So we would take away, like, okay, what parts of our set worked the best in this environment? When were people singing the loudest? When were they jumping up and down? When were they smiling? When were they crying? When were they filming? Like, what made the show the best it could possibly be? And we wanted to take all of those bits, and so we would get fresh off stage, play a slew of shows, and go and fly back to the studio fresh with that emotion and that energy from those crowds in us, and inject that into our album. And then, you know, we do that for 3 or 4 songs, and then same thing again next tour, and we'll go out and do it again and refuel and re-energize and recapture those moments and take those back to the studio for the next session. So we really fed off of our fans and our audience beforehand when writing this record, which I think is really cool. And I think it would be nice for our fans to know just how much they actually influenced this record just by the energy that they poured out during our live shows. I think it's quite a cool thing.
Yeah, and you are one of those bands that have always brought the fans along with you. You know, it's really cool to see. And I was watching the little vid yesterday of you signing, what's a million CDs or something like that, dude. Some crazy number of CDs, dude. And your little lad, your little lad ran in. And I was thinking, that's so cool, dude. He's, you know, at home juggling what he's doing. It just kind of had shades of what I'm doing too, kind of. You know, you're over there doing, you're a lot bigger, of course, but I've had my daughter running in most of the time at the moment with this COVID thing. It's crazy to try and juggle everything at the same time, and I think you're doing a really good job of bringing your fans along with you from day one to right now, and this album really does show that.
Thank you so much, man. That means a lot. And yeah, you know, I'm really we're in a really good place, you know, and I love the fact that I have the kind of job where my kids can be involved and see what I'm doing. And, you know, they've come on tour with me a few times, and they've traveled the world at this point already. My kids are 2 and 3, and they've been around the globe. And I feel very fortunate that I get to give that lifestyle to my kids. And I don't want them to grow up sheltered. I want them to experience different cultures and different people and different places. I grew up, like I said, in Dubai, which was a cultural melting pot. So I genuinely did not know what racism was until, like, I left home and moved back to England for a little bit and came to the States, and I realized, oh wow, there's segregation in places. This is fucking weird. And I don't want that for my kids. You know, I want them to grow up like I did and appreciate everyone and everything. So you know, I share them with my fans, and I share the fans with them, and it's cool.
It's really cool. And I had a chat with Steve from Skin Lab a little while ago, and we're chatting about this because he's a father as well. He said it's about leaving a legacy for my child. He said everything I made, the accolades, everything. He said that means kind of pales in comparison to leaving a legacy for my children and my great grandchildren to see. Yeah,
you know, and it is exciting because, you know, I can't wait for my kids to go to school and hopefully be proud of their dad and who I am and what I do, and not use it to brag like, oh, my dad's a rock star, but just see what I do and see the connection I've made with people around the globe, and realize, you know, how important music is. And, you know, all of these barriers that people put up, whether it's the news or politicians or schools or whatever it is, I want to show my kids that those barriers, they just don't exist, you know. They're not a real thing. And so that's really important to me. So like he said, you know, the legacy I leave behind for my kids is super, super important to me. And we're very, very fortunate, I think.
Yeah, and it's going to be pretty cool knowing that your great-great-grandkids are going to be looking. That's my great-granddad Ben there ripping it up on stage for all of them as well. It's pretty cool.
As he takes my record collection to a porn store.
I really hope not. So can we talk about this album, House on Fire, The Violence, man? That's a killer track. That was the first single you went with. Can you tell us a little bit about that track?
That's kind of the perfect segue. That song was all about these borders that people have been putting up between people, you know, and we've been noticing it a lot. Really, I guess as I get older and as we get older, we notice the barriers that are imposed. And even just traveling, it's like, sometimes you sit and think, it's like, who made these? I need a visa to go here and a visa to go here. And when I'm in this place, I don't feel safe. And it's like, who created these invisible lines and boundaries, and why have they stuck? And, you know, I think people are pitted against each other for their sex, their race, their gender, their sexuality, their religious beliefs, their political beliefs. Like, if someone can find a reason to pit you against someone, they will find it and they will amplify it. And slowly people are being divided. And that's kind of what the violence is. The violence is a big middle finger to all of that. You know, it's just a fuck you. You're oppressing us as humans. Like, we're all here together. We're all doing the same thing. And it's kind of encouraging people to sort of stand up for themselves and their beliefs and just be like, no, fuck you. I'm not going to be told where to go or who I should be or who I should be talking to. I'm going to be unapologetically me. And it's kind of just talking about all of the stuff that is put in place to divide us and lead us in a certain direction. Which, you know, something is maybe something that you notice more as you do get older.
Yeah, you do.
So it was just kind of important for us to address that, as we've been noticing it more and more, especially doing what we do. Like, we can go to Malaysia or Japan or Australia or somewhere in Europe and, you know, travel all around the world. And the crazy thing is, just to prove how similar we all actually are, everyone that's in that room when we're still on that stage, no matter what, where they don't speak English, or if they do speak English, or what their religious beliefs are, they're all singing the same words at the same fucking time. And when you're in that room, no one gives a fuck what job you have or what color your skin is. They're just having the best time of their lives at a rock and roll show. And it's so frustrating to see that as soon as people leave that room and that environment, the barriers are back up again and people go their separate ways.
Yeah, it is sad. And like, you think, like, at the moment, the world, we're all in this one kind of page together. It would be a good if we could get out of this and kind of all connect a lot more, because, you know, we're all kind of connecting virtually and digitally through this, but it'd be good if we all actually connected as humans and kind of, like you're saying, tear down those barriers a bit and just accept
I think,
each other
unfortunately, too, I've been seeing a lot of positivity come from this, but a lot of negativity as well. I've been seeing a lot of, like, hate crimes against Asians now. It's like, people are like, oh, you fucking Asians, you've given us. It's like, whoa, how is this? This is not the time. Like you, I was hoping maybe people could realize, for the first time in my lifetime, in your lifetime, in our parents' lifetime, for the first time, the entire globe is going through something together at the same time. I'm locked up in my fucking house in Arizona. You're locked up on the other side of the world in Australia. And it's like, I was hoping beyond hope that this might, and I'm still hopeful that this might make people realize that we're all in this together. But, you know, obviously there's good people and there's bad people everywhere. So some people are taking it one way and others are taking it another. But I hope overall people are sort of more tolerant of each other and realize how vulnerable we all are together.
Exactly. So I want to go into the next track, They Don't Want What We Want, because I'm going to kind of go through these singles that you've released off the album, because they're all really cool and I want to give them a little bit of light. Can we talk about that track now?
Yeah, I think the beautiful thing about music is it's completely open to interpretation. And I think, you know, a good song will grow with you. And one day you might be listening to the song and it speaks to you so loudly in that moment of your life. And then 5 years later, you can listen to the same song and it speaks to you on a whole new level. So music's completely open to interpretation. And that being said, They Don't Want What We Want, to me, is sort of a defiant middle finger to everyone that sort of, you know, especially I've wanted to be a musician like my whole life. This is something I dreamed of growing up, and, you know, there was no plan B for me. It was this or nothing. And I remember I had a lot of teachers and a lot of friends and a lot of people growing up that weren't even my family, just saying, you know, you got to give it up. This is ridiculous. You need to go to law school or become a doctor or something valuable to society. And in my head, I just remember thinking all the time, well, to me, music is the most valuable thing in the world, to me. And so I just got so sick of people telling me what I can do and what I can't do and what they think I should be doing. And I say this to my manager a lot, you know, when something doesn't go the way we want it to, and we're like, oh, the label hasn't done this or the promoter hasn't done this. It's like, well, yeah, but no one cares about this band like I do, because I fucking put this together. You can't expect someone else to be in your shoes or have your thought process. So why should you let someone else dictate what your thoughts are? And that's kind of what this song is. It's fuck what they're saying. They literally have a different agenda than you do, and just get on with your own life, make your own path, and follow your own dreams, and make your own decisions. And that's what I take away from They Don't Want What We Want. Because, you know, that person over there telling me, that teacher at my school telling me I need to get good grades so I can become a doctor and give up this dream of being a quote unquote rock star, she didn't give a fuck about me once I left that school, but she wants me to get good grades so that she could say, oh, 95% of my students got A's. You know, it was all, that was her agenda. And that's fine, because that's her life. But it's not, you can't let people dictate to you where you're going and who you're going to be or want to be or supposed to be. And that, to me, is what They Don't Want What We Want is really about.
Yeah, and exactly. I talk about this a lot as musicians. I consider you as artists. These are artists, and I always consider music as one of the arts. And I think arts are kind of underappreciated a lot. As you're saying, your teacher was like, you should be a doctor or you should be a teacher. But at your heart, you're an artist, and you just wanted to create music, and that was what is in your soul, man.
Yeah, 100%. 100%. And, you know, it's funny too, because music is art, and it's so funny. Like, people think, when you say art, you think of a painter. So when a painter's painting a picture, people will look at the picture and they'll go, oh, I like that. Or they'll go, oh, I don't like that, but I like this one. But when it comes to music, if an artist sort of explores something different as an artist, oh my God, all hell breaks loose. You're a piece of shit. You're a sellout. Fuck you. How could you do this? It's like, whoa, you realize this is art. This is how we express ourselves. And it's so weird, because it's only music that people do that. You don't see people getting pissed off at actors for playing different roles. You don't get pissed off with people painting different pictures or different styles, you know, or sculptors. Maybe this sculptor wants to try out watercolor painting. You don't get the art community up in arms that the sculptor has tried a watercolor painting. It's very bizarre to me that music has become that way, because I don't think it was always that way.
Yeah, I know. We've only got a couple of minutes left, Ben, so I want to crack into Paradise City, dude. I watched a little trailer for the spin-off, man, which is you're in the American Satan movie as well. That's pretty cool, dude. Acting as well.
Yeah, that is something I never thought. I never even thought of doing or exploring in my life. When I was at school and we did drama, I was always the kid that was like, nah, fuck this. I don't want to be part of this. I'm too shy. Like, I was super shy, and I was like, this is fucking stupid. I don't want to pretend like I'm a fucking astronaut landing on the moon, bouncing around with all these fucking morons. So I used to like skip drama. It was never my thing. And whenever there was a school production, I'd play the guitar in it, and I'd be like behind the curtain, and I was comfortable there. Yeah. So I never thought I would do this, and I got given the opportunity to be an American Satan, and I was so nervous, and I was like, man, this isn't for me. I don't know what to do. And when I did it, I had so much fun, and it was it was just another way to be creative, but in an entirely different way, and it exhilarated me, and it gave me that same feeling as when I stepped foot on stage. And there's thousands of people there screaming. I'm like, okay, now it's go time. Don't fuck up. These people are here for a reason. Give them a show. And it was the same thing stepping onto that movie set. So I kind of just got addicted to it. And then obviously the TV show's coming out now. And it was probably one of the most fun experiences of my life filming that television show. And
then you got James as well.
Yeah, James is in it, and it was just fun. It's just so much fun, and we're already talking about doing season 2, so I'm hoping it has quite a long life.
Cool. Before we go, I want to ask Ben, Like a House on Fire is due May 15th. It's your 6th studio album. It's an amazing album. Everyone needs to get out there, pre-order, get onto this. It's a great album. But did you want to say any last words before we sign out?
Honestly, I just want to say thank you to everyone that stuck by us, because it has been a long time. I just realized, I was like 17 years old when I started writing Stand Up and Scream, and I'm turning 32 this year. And it's just so incredible to me, because when I was 17 and started writing Stand Up and Scream, I had finished my A-levels at school. I'd just finished. And that was the teacher that was telling me to stop pursuing music and to grow up. And to think that just a few months after that, I got signed and released Stand Up and Scream. And here I am, 32 years old, still doing what I love to do, still getting to tour the world and connect with people through music. It's just such a spectacular feeling, and I feel very fortunate and very, very thankful to everyone that's listened over the years. So just thank you.
Thank you, Ben Bruce, on behalf of Crannk Australia and all your listeners, man. Thank you very much for making some time to have a chat with me, man. I really do appreciate it. Congratulations on Like a House on Fire, and I really hope to catch you guys over in Australia once this all settles down.
ASAP. We were working on it for this year, and I'm still hopeful. It's not been cancelled. We are supposed to be coming back at the end of the year, but obviously everything is up in the air right now. So it's kind of just in limbo. And I guess we'll see what happens.
Awesome. Ben, thank you very much, mate. You have a lovely day, dude. Thank you.
You too, mate. Thank you.